In the 4th year of our marriage, Lily was in a car accident. When she woke up, her memory had frozen at the time she was most in love with her first boyfriend. She refused to believe we were married, insisting that I was the person she disliked the most. I tried everything I could to help her remember our 4 years together, but nothing worked. After another incident, I watched her run toward her first love without hesitation. And at that moment, I was finally exhausted. On the day I agreed to the divorce, she suddenly remembered me. But by then, I had already given up. The day Lily woke up, she demanded a divorce. As I walked to the door holding the soup I had simmered all night, she threw a cup at my feet. "Get out. I don't want to see you." A few drops of boiling water splashed onto the back of my hand. I forced a smile and pretended not to mind, saying, "I made some soup. Could you drink a little first?" Lily turned her back, unwilling to look at me, and said just one sentence: "Get out." After setting down the soup and leaving, I could no longer hold up the smile on my face. Outside the hospital, I squatted by the roadside, biting an unlit cigarette, tasting bitterness. This was the 4th year of my marriage to Lily. By then, I had pursued her for nearly 4 years, using all my strength just to make her notice me. Yet even that faint affection was now gone. I thought aimlessly that marrying Lily back then was really a stroke of incredible luck. At that time, Lily was already in a relationship. I couldn't bring myself to be the third party. I simply admired Lily from afar. I never crossed any boundaries. If Adrian hadn't given up on going abroad, I wouldn't have even had the chance to pursue Lily. Only after Adrian left the country did my pursuit of her come into the open. It wasn't until 4 years ago that Lily agreed to marry me. That day was just an ordinary dinner between the two of us. After the meal, she casually said, "Ryan, let's get married." It took me a full 30 seconds to believe I hadn't misheard. Once I realized what she said, I just blurted out, "Wait for me," then rushed out the door. In the end, I only bought a bouquet of flowers, fearing that if I took longer to purchase other things, Lily might change her mind and leave. My heart was pounding, and my palms were drenched in sweat from excessive anxiety. That night, I knelt on the ground holding the flowers, my eyes gradually filling with tears. I looked up at Lily seated above me. She wore a beautiful dress, radiant and captivating. Whether in the past or the present, she has always looked exactly the way I adore. Word by word, I made a heartfelt vow to her. "Lily, will you marry me? I promise I will treat you well, no matter what." She accepted the flowers from my hands. In that moment, my restless heart finally settled. Later, I proposed to her once again. A dreamlike setting, gifts, a ring. Our respective families and friends were all invited to witness it. I knew very well that Lily's agreement to marry me was not out of deep affection. Perhaps it was my persistence that moved her, or more likely, she simply felt it was time to get married. If Lily wanted to marry, there was no way I would say no. We were married for 4 years, and I spent every day cheerfully trailing behind her, content just to watch her. It didn't matter that she didn't love me deeply. My love for her was enough. If Lily hadn't had the accident and lost her memory, reverting to the time when she and her first love Adrian were most in love, then this dreamlike life, I'd gladly live it again in my next life. What's even more devastating than Lily now loathing me and denying our marriage is that Adrian has returned to the country. After Lily woke up, both our parents gently told her that we had been married for 4 years. Even the marriage certificate was laid out plainly before her. Lily only gave it a quick glance and refused to look again. "So what? We got married, then we can just get divorced. Who knows what tricks he used to make me marry him," she said. Besides, I clearly remember being in love with Adrian. If the topic was pressed, Lily, still recovering, would become agitated and suffer severe headaches. The doctor advised that in such cases, we should go along with the patient and avoid emotional triggers. After hearing that, I silently stood outside her door, gazing at Lily lying on the hospital bed. I then asked both sets of parents not to mention the marriage to Lily anymore. I packed the marriage certificate into a box and stored it in the bottom drawer. The photos from the past 4 years were also packed away into my suitcase. I packed away all the couple items I had bought over the years. I told myself it was okay. It's fine if she forgets me or even hates me. I'll just pursue her all over again. But Adrian's return to the country caught me off guard. He hadn't changed much since high school, always modest and gentle with others, his demeanor perpetually tender. A pang of bitterness welled up inside me as I thought absent-mindedly. Adrian may appear gentle, but he doesn't know how to take care of her like I do. Why is Lily so obsessed with him? The next day, I ran right into Adrian at the hospital. It was actually my friend Owen who told me Adrian had returned. I just didn't expect him to show up at the hospital so soon. Holding the bone broth I had prepared, I stood there at a loss as I watched the two of them in the room. The two of them chatted as if no one else were there. Then, suddenly, Lily chuckled softly at something he said. Her long pale face flushed with color, becoming visibly more lively. As I entered, their conversation ceased abruptly, and an awkward silence fell over the room. Clutching the thermos tightly, I forced a smile and said gently, Lily, I made your favorite soup. Drink it while it's hot. Before she could respond, Adrian interjected kindly. Lily, you've just started recovering. This greasy soup might not be suitable now. I brought you some nourishing supplements instead. I was momentarily stunned. Aside from her head injury, Lily's leg was the most seriously affected. That's why I always prepared the bone broth the night before and brought it over the next day. Even though Lily would always tell me to leave, I knew she'd end up drinking some after I was gone. But this time, I wasn't so sure anymore. So I set the soup aside, muttered, I'll go have a smoke, and quickly fled. It was a bit pathetic. Just before I left, I heard Adrian say, he's still the same as ever. Lily replied casually, he's always been like that. Her tone carried a trace of irritation. After that day, I stopped visiting and simply sent different meals for Lily through my parents. The day before Lily was discharged, my friend Owen invited me out for drinks. He knew I'd been upset lately and said he had something nice to show me. It wasn't until I arrived that I realized Adrian was there too. I froze for a moment. Then I understood what nice thing he wanted me to see. Owen handed me a glass of wine and then said, Adrian, you really are a scumbag. Back then, Ryan liked Lily, but since you were her boyfriend, he didn't interfere. You're the one who gave up on the relationship to go abroad. And then this idiot Ryan chased her for 2 more years before finally marrying her. Now that Lily's had an accident, you come to take advantage of the situation. Are you even human? I don't know how Owen got him to come, but he was clearly already drunk. I just pulled him up and said calmly, stop drinking, go home. Owen, his face flushed, pointed at me in frustration. Are you a coward? That's your wife. I remained silent. Just then, Adrian stepped in front of me with a smirk and said, so what if Lily wanted to break up with me after I went abroad? Even after all these years, she still loves me. Oh right, maybe you didn't know. She was way cuter when she was with me than with you. She used to. He didn't get to finish because I punched him right in the face. Angry? Furious? I had loved that woman for nearly 8 years, and because of one accident, everything I had worked for evaporated. So who should I blame? Why could someone like him, a complete scumbag, win Lily's love without lifting a finger? And having gotten it all, why didn't he treasure it? What he discarded so easily was what I had fought so hard to attain. I cursed, then threw a punch with full force. Adrian ended up on the floor, clutching his head, and I kicked him once more. Don't talk about your past with her. You're not worthy. The next day, I found out Owen just wanted me to vent, but Adrian had provoked me on purpose. The doctor had scheduled her discharge for the afternoon, but the next day, just as I was about to leave, I saw Adrian had already brought Lily back. His face still bore the bruises from the night before. I happened to be at the hospital this morning when Lily was discharged, so I brought her back. Lily stood in front of him, frowning at me. Ryan, apologized to Adrian. I froze, unable to say a word. Adrian gently tugged Lily's hand and said, it's okay, Lily. Ryan was drunk last night when he hit me. No need for an apology. He looked calm and gentle, as if trying to keep the peace. The scene was so ridiculous that I couldn't help but laugh. I laughed so hard that I ended up coughing aloud. I paused briefly, then laughed and cursed. Adrian, you're truly despicable. Adrian's expression shifted, and he remained silent. Ryan, Adrian wasn't wrong. You're exactly the same as you were in high school, completely unchanged. Lily looked at me with disgust, as if I were nothing more than roadside trash. Back in high school, you were just a troublemaking student who knew only how to fight and smoke. And now, you're still the same. Still the same kind of person I detest. I gently closed my eyes, replaying her words in my mind like a form of self-torture. At last, I understood. Lily, having lost her 4 years of memories with me, felt nothing but revulsion. Just like the first time she saw me in high school, she'd rather walk in circles to avoid me. Yet back then, even an unintentional glance from her could bring me joy for days. I lowered my head in defeat and finally spoke hoarsely to defend my last shred of dignity. Tell him to get out. This is our home. He doesn't belong here. Having achieved his goal, Adrian gently reminded Lily of a few things, then left after setting down his belongings. The next day, Lily handed me the divorce papers she had already signed. These are the divorce papers. Have a look. If everything seems fine, just sign them. I was stunned. Then I looked away and said, I won't sign it. Lily frowned, visibly irritated. Why won't you sign? If it's about money, we're splitting everything evenly. This house can go back to you, and I'll even give you an extra $1 million. I bought this house back then as our marital home. It cost me more than half my savings. I took a deep breath and returned the divorce papers. I'm not going to sign them. Lily glared at me in anger, seemingly unable to comprehend my refusal. Finally, she shouted, unable to contain herself. But I don't even like you. I love someone else. Even then you won't sign? After she spoke those words, the living room fell into a prolonged silence. I recovered from the sting in my heart and responded hoarsely. The one you love is just someone you've forgotten. Lily froze. In the end, she stood up and left, tossing back only a single sentence. Do whatever you want. Waste your time if you must. As I sat alone, staring at the empty living room, I suddenly doubted how much longer I could hold on. From that day on, Lily and I entered a cold war. I prepared meals daily, but she wouldn't eat them. She slept in the master bedroom, while I took the guest room. Due to her earlier car accident, Lily's injured leg prevented her from standing for long periods. Knowing she couldn't swallow her pride, I cooked every day before quietly heading to the studio. I only felt relieved when I returned and saw that she had finished the meal. When Owen found out, he scolded me over the phone. You're not a real man. I was kneading dough at the time, momentarily stunned by his words. In the end, I replied bitterly. Owen, she just doesn't remember. I had never told anyone this. During the 4 years Lily agreed to marry me, she was never like this. For those 4 years, Lily was a wonderful partner. We dated, kissed, and loved like any ordinary couple. On winter nights, I'd pick her up from work. She'd rush into my arms in her thick coat and slip her hands obediently into mine. On our way home, she'd chatter about amusing things that had happened at the office. We'd roll dice to decide who cooked and who washed dishes, though I usually ended up doing both. We shopped for daily necessities together. She'd make me change to all sorts of strange avatars. We'd curl up in pajamas on the couch to watch movies. She'd get angry too, sometimes sulking and refusing to eat. Yet at work, she'd become the calm and composed manager again. During those years, Lily would decisively reject any suitor who came her way. So I had known her love once. How could I simply let go? I wanted to try harder. After all, 8 years had passed. I could endure another 1 or 2. I came up with every excuse to take Lily to places we had once visited during our marriage. I hoped, perhaps, she might remember. But without fail, each time, Lily would either leave at Adrian's call or stay glued to her phone chatting with him. Eventually, Lily stopped going out with me altogether. I tried to talk about our 4 years together, but Lily rarely responded. If I said too much, she'd impatiently cut me off. Watching her texting Adrian, I suddenly fell silent. Lily's birthday was in 2 weeks. I made reservations well in advance and decorated the private room exactly as Lily liked. On her birthday, I woke early and made her a bowl of longevity noodles. After she finished eating, I handed her the box I had prepared. Lily, happy birthday. Lately, Lily and I had slowly drifted back to something like friendship. Lily no longer resisted me as much, and it seemed we had both deliberately forgotten the unpleasant day we discussed divorce. Yet deep in my heart, I knew with clarity that we could never return to those 4 years. Lily thanked me and then asked, "May I open it now?" I nodded. Inside was a dress. The moment I saw it, I thought my Lily would surely look beautiful in it. As she unfolded the dress, a spark of delight flashed in her eyes. My tense heart instantly relaxed. Then I said, "I've reserved dinner at your favorite restaurant tonight. If you like, you could wear this." Afterward, I accompanied Lily to her parents' home, where we stayed for lunch until evening. That evening, Lily and I were supposed to go to the restaurant together, but she received a call and looked at me with hesitation. "I'm going out for a bit to meet a friend. You go ahead, I'll be right there," she said. The moment she picked up her phone, I saw the caller's name. It was Adrian. I watched as she rushed out the door without even giving me a chance to speak, and I was left speechless. I stood there watching her, noting that she never once looked back. I wanted to stop Lily, to ask her, "If you go, will you still come back?" But deep down, more than asking, I simply wanted to hold her back and keep her with me. In the end, I went to the reserved restaurant alone. Lily said she would come, so I waited. That night, I began waiting from 6 p.m. During that time, I sent messages and called Lily. All went unanswered, and later, her phone was turned off. I waited until midnight. 2 waiters, awkwardly pushing each other forward, finally approached me. "Sir, we're sorry, but the restaurant is closing." I was stunned. The dishes, freshly reheated half an hour ago, had turned cold. The cake I made myself sat in a corner, and the roses had lost their initial vibrancy. Some waiters glanced at me with faint pity, and their sympathetic looks only deepened my embarrassment. But what hurt me the most, deep within my heart, was, "Lily, you clearly said you would come. How could you lie to me?" That night, after I returned home, Lily never came back. I sat alone in the living room the entire night. The next day, I saw the Lily I had waited for all night on Adrian's Facebook. Last night, Adrian took Lily to a music festival concert. She was wearing Adrian's jacket. Her smile was carefree and radiant, something I hadn't seen in a long time, and the tenderness and joy in her eyes felt almost tangible. The timing was uncanny. Just as I put my phone down, Lily returned. She looked at me on the couch, momentarily stunned. Then something seemed to click in her mind, and she hurriedly said, "Sorry about last night. I forgot. I hadn't slept all night, and by now, I was truly exhausted." I lifted the corner of my mouth, trying to say something, whether it was to question her, express anger, or anything at all. But I realized I couldn't say anything. All my emotions had vanished. Seeing my silence, she quickly added, Adrian wanted to go to the music festival last night, so I went with him. Later, my phone died, so I couldn't call you. You must have given up waiting and come home, right? I lowered my eyes and replied softly, yeah, I understand. The atmosphere was suffocating, so I stood up and said, I'm heading to the studio. As I passed by Lily, she suddenly called out to me, Ryan, don't you have anything else you want to ask? Ask what? I didn't want to ask anything anymore. No. I left right after saying that. At that moment, I suddenly remembered my conversation with Owen. What makes you think she'll still remember you? How did I answer back then? I answered with conviction, I believe in her. But Lily, I think I'm reaching my limit. After that day, both Lily and I became busy. I ran a photography studio, while Lily was preoccupied with year-end tasks at her company. Sometimes, in the midst of our busyness, we hadn't shared a meal together for 2 or 3 weeks. Meanwhile, Adrian's Facebook occasionally featured photos of him dining with Lily. I knew all of this was deliberately shown to me by him. At one moment, as I looked on, a wave of resignation and indifference washed over me. It seemed that for a long time, my entire life had revolved around the name Lily. I had told Owen I wanted to work hard to help Lily remember me, but at some point, the string connecting us had silently loosened without me noticing. Toward the end of this month, our high school class president suddenly organized a class reunion. I hadn't planned on going, but the class president insisted I attend. After some thought, I cleared my schedule for that evening. Deep down, I wondered whether Lily would show up. On the night of the reunion, Lily arrived, alongside Adrian. Our marriage had been very low-key. Only a few close friends knew. Almost none of our high school classmates were aware. So when the two walked in together, everyone naturally assumed Lily and Adrian were a couple. A drunk classmate saw them and exclaimed, Damn, you two are still together after all these years? I saw Lily open her mouth to respond, but Adrian quickly interjected, After all these years, it'd be wrong not to toast together. His vague response painted their relationship in ambiguous tones. I looked at Lily, unknowingly hoping for something. But there was nothing. She just smiled and began chatting with others. She didn't even glance my way, as if I were truly just an old classmate. The string in my heart grew fainter and fainter, until I could barely hold on to it. Midway through the reunion, the class president texted me, asking to talk outside. It wasn't until he nearly finished his cigarette that he finally spoke. He said, You liked Lily in high school, didn't you? That was hardly a secret. No one would have been surprised back then if someone liked Lily. But what he said next left me frozen in place. You were the one who chased off the punks behind the school and left candy on her desk for a whole semester, weren't you? I instinctively asked, How do you know? The class president patted my shoulder. Ryan, I'm sorry. I saw it happen, and I knew it was you. But when Lily thought it was all Adrian's doing, I never stepped forward to tell her the truth. It felt like the world went silent around me. It was like missing a step on the stairs. My heart skipped a beat. It took me a long time to regain my senses. Back then, before she got together with Adrian, I wrote her a love letter and confessed. How could she have believed it was Adrian who did it? The class monitor was also taken aback. He frowned and said, I'm not sure either, but when Adrian celebrated getting into a relationship and took Lily to dinner with us, he admitted to doing all of that. A sudden ominous suspicion arose in my heart. Before I could gather my thoughts, thick smoke filled the air and, amid the sudden alarm, a crowd of people rushed out of the restaurant. It was on fire. I froze for a second, then instinctively ran back inside. Lily was still inside. The class monitor instinctively grabbed me. What are you doing? It's dangerous in there. Don't go in. I broke free from him. Lily is still inside. Since we were drinking and worried about disturbing others, the staff had arranged our private room in the farthest corner on the second floor. By the time I ran in, the first floor was already in chaos. Everyone was looking out for themselves, fleeing in a frenzy. The fire was intensifying. When I reached the second floor, it was clear they had no idea the place was burning. Several were already unconscious from drinking. Once I shouted about the fire, the more sober ones quickly reacted and began dragging the others out. I scanned the room, spotted Lily, and ran over to grab her hand to pull her out. We didn't exchange a word. She clutched my hand tightly and followed me. As we passed the restroom, she suddenly stopped and hesitated. Adrian, he just went to the bathroom. I paused, looking into her anxious eyes, saying nothing. Feeling her intention to turn back, I tightened my grip and pulled her forward. There's no time. We need to get out first. But Lily was about to speak again, but I firmly pulled her outside. Once we were outside, the fire department had already arrived, and the flames were being brought under control. It was only then that I noticed a large scrape on my arm, though I had no idea when it happened. I hadn't felt it earlier, but now an intense, stabbing pain surged through me. As soon as she got out, Lily began anxiously scanning the crowd. Recalling what the class monitor had just told me, I was desperate to know the truth. Ignoring the fact we'd just survived a disaster, I blurted out, Lily, do you know who placed candies on your desk for an entire semester and chased off that gang for you back then? It was Adrian. The rest of my words got stuck in my throat. I watched as Lily suddenly ran toward Adrian, who was standing at a distance. Her eyes were red, and she exclaimed in relief, You're all right. That's such a relief. The sight of the two of them tightly embracing in front of me pierced my vision. The fragile thread in my heart suddenly snapped. This scene was all too familiar. I still remember back in high school when Adrian got into a fight. I was just passing by and stopped to watch the commotion. Coincidentally, the person Adrian fought with was someone I knew. When Lily arrived and saw me, she instinctively thought I was the one who caused trouble for Adrian. She glared at me angrily. Ryan, I really regret it. Regret ever helping you. You bully your classmates, always causing trouble. Will you ever learn how to show respect? I actually thought you would change for the better. The disgust in her eyes was so obvious that I was at a loss for words. I wanted to say that it wasn't true. I never misbehaved, I didn't cause trouble, and I wasn't the one who brought trouble to Adrian. I also wanted to say that I'm not that bad. I was praised by the store manager today for being diligent. I've been saving the money I earn from my part-time job, and I don't disrespect people. But it was as if I suddenly became mute. My throat was dry, and I couldn't say a word. I looked at Adrian, hoping he would speak up and clarify that this had nothing to do with me. But Adrian only glanced at me and said nothing. All I could do was watch as Lily supported Adrian, walking past me step by step. In the beginning, I had no intention of writing a love letter to clear up that it was me who did those things. But I thought, I don't want Lily to see me as that kind of person. I didn't want her to feel that being liked by someone like me was something unbearable. I spent a whole week agonizing over it, writing dozens of discarded letters before finally writing one that didn't feel so forced to Lily. In it, I wrote that I had a bad temper at first, but I never bullied anyone. I also wrote that I had liked Lily for a long time. At the end, I wrote that I was the one who came back from my part-time job that evening to help her chase off those bullies, and I ran away because I was afraid she'd misunderstand. I also wrote that during that time when she was feeling down, I was the one who placed different candies on her desk every day for a whole semester. There was so much more, but what did I most want to write? What I wanted to write the most was, Lily, I really like you. I'm not as bad as you think. Please, take a look at me. But tonight, the class monitor said that Lily doesn't know. She doesn't know that I was the one who did those things. My love letters may have been thrown into a corner, trampled on, and become filthy without anyone ever knowing. The love and courage I've carried for so many years have never been known by anyone. But seeing Lily, in a life or death moment, firmly run towards Adrian, whether she knew back then or not, whether she opened it or not, it no longer matters. I'm not really concerned about it anymore. I think, let it be like this. The love has never been known to you, and in your memory, I am still as insignificant as I always was, unchanged as ever. Whether Lily knows it was me or not, I think, I really can't go on with her anymore. That day, I glanced at the two of them in the distance and turned away. I first went to the hospital to dress my arm injury, and by the time I returned home, it was almost 1 a.m. When I returned, the lights were still on, and when Lily saw me, her eyes lit up. You're back. I didn't say anything, just went to the bathroom to wash my face and try to wake up. She followed me step by step, talking. I couldn't find you at the time and looked for you for a long while. I tried calling you, but no one answered. You must be tired tonight. I packed some food for you, come eat. What happened to your hand? Did you just get hurt? Did you go to the hospital by yourself? Why didn't you tell me earlier? I could have accompanied you. I interrupted Lily before she could say anything more. Lily, I've agreed to the divorce. I thought, given how much I liked Lily, I would never say this sentence in my lifetime. But in the end, I overestimated myself. I think, Lily, let's call it quits here. Let's put an end to these 10 years of my youth. After saying this, I turned and left. It's too late today. I'll pack my things and leave tomorrow. Lily reached out to stop me. Why did you suddenly change your mind about the divorce? My head hurt so much, I didn't want to say a word. I gently pulled away from her and said, You can have the lawyer draw up a new agreement. I don't want your money, the property, anything. Do as you wish. I was truly exhausted. My body felt like a rusted part. It was too difficult to even move. Behind me, Lily's trembling voice came. Ryan, have you made up your mind? You were the one who mentioned the divorce, and now you can't go back on it. I didn't stop and continued walking. I won't go back on it. Lying on the bed, I thought to myself that I really needed to rest for a while. During this sleep, I had many dreams. In one, I was a child. In another, Lily from high school. And yet another, the Lily from the 4 years we were married. But what never changed was the disgust in her eyes toward me. I woke up at 11 a.m. and slowly began to get out of bed and pack my things. There wasn't much to pack, and I finished quickly. As I went downstairs, I had expected that, considering Lily's eagerness to divorce, I would have received the agreement this morning. However, On the table, there was a breakfast already prepared. I was stunned. Lily sat on the sofa, pretending nothing had happened, and called me over. I made breakfast. Come try it. A short while ago, I thought I would have been very happy. But now, looking at it, I felt no joy in my heart. I just felt helpless. In the end, I shook my head and refused. No, I'm not hungry. When you have time later, remember to message me, and we'll go handle the divorce paperwork. Adrian, I don't think he's someone you should trust. You should reconsider. The night of the restaurant fire, if Adrian had really still been in the restroom, I would never have disregarded someone's life. But as I ran back to the restaurant, I glanced and saw Adrian running out of the restroom. After saying that, I picked up my suitcase and prepared to leave. A sound of something breaking came from behind, and Lily shouted, "Ryan, once you leave, never come back." It was still the house I had lived in for 4 years. The moment I stepped out, a sharp pain struck my heart. I told myself in my heart, "Ryan, this time it's truly over." I went back to the studio first, planning to finish the photo shoots I had scheduled with a few clients over the next few days. During those busy days of work, I kept waiting for news from Lily, but she didn't send any messages. Until one evening, I finally received a message from her. "Ryan, there's a thief in the house. I'm scared." Without hesitation, I put down the camera in my hand and rushed towards Lily. I reached there in the fastest time of my life. When I arrived, the living room was a mess, with blankets and cushions all thrown on the floor. The security guards and the police were at the door. Lily was sitting on the floor. I calmed my breathing and looked her over from head to toe. Seeing no signs of injury, I felt a slight relief. I asked softly, "Can you stand up?" Lily shook her head and reached out to tightly wrap her arms around my neck. Helpless, I had no choice but to lift her and place her on the sofa. After helping her explain the situation to the police, I turned on the TV for her so she could watch it. I started cleaning up the living room and reminded her, "You should stay with your parents for now. Come back once the thief is caught. When you come back, remember to remove the key, and if you hear any noises, hide in your room and don't come out. Call the police. In the future, if you're in danger, call the police immediately. I can't always be there to answer your calls." I suddenly paused mid-sentence, because I realized Lily might not like hearing me say all this. "Ryan, my stomach hurts." Reacting instinctively, I asked, "Haven't you had dinner yet?" Seeing her nod, I sighed and walked to the kitchen. As I put the noodles in the pot, I suddenly realized what I was doing. Suddenly, I felt a pair of hands on my waist, and I froze. Once I realized, my instinct was to push them away. Lily said, her voice trembling with tears, "Ryan, I regret it. Can we not get divorced?" I didn't say anything. I quietly finished cooking the noodles and set them on the table for Lily to eat first. When she had finished eating, I finally spoke. "Lily, you need to take care of yourself and eat well, even when you're alone. A person may lose their memory, but the habits etched deep in their soul seem impossible to change." Lily had grown accustomed to having someone like me by her side. When she is hungry, I would cook for her, and when she feels cold, I would remind her to put on more clothes. When this person suddenly disappears one day, she seems to be at a loss. I think, but this is ultimately a false memory. After hearing about my divorce with Lily, Owen remained silent for a long time. Finally, he sighed and asked, "Have you thought it through?" I held my wine glass, somewhat lost in thought. I simply nodded in response. I plan to close the studio for a while next year and travel for some time. But there's still one thing to take care of. Lily hasn't given me the divorce agreement yet. Helpless, I had no choice but to don't message her and ask if she had time that day. However, Lily replied to me instead. Either she's working or having dinner with her parents. After a few times, I understood what she meant. There were too many clients piled up at the end of the year, and I got so busy that I forgot about this matter. This delay continued, and it eventually stretched all the way to the new year. During this time, both of our parents noticed something was off between us. In the past, both our families would reunite together, but this year it was inappropriate, so I explained it to my parents in advance. It was only the day before the new year that I received a call from Lily. "Ryan, can you come over to my house for dinner tonight?" Perhaps afraid I would refuse, she hurriedly added, "My parents want to meet you." She even brought up her parents, so I had no choice but to agree. In the evening, I first bought some gifts and then went to pick up Lily from the company to go to her parents' house for dinner. The meal was quite pleasant, and we didn't bring up the divorce in front of the elderly couple. After dinner, I helped Lily clear the dishes, then suggested we leave. Lily put on her coat and walked me out. It wasn't until we reached the parking lot that she slowly began to speak. At first, when I woke up, I wanted to divorce you. I ignored the pain in my heart and tried to sound casual. "Yeah, you didn't even drink my soup and told me to leave." Lily smiled as well. As she laughed, she suddenly stopped. She remained silent for a while before continuing. "After I woke up, I always thought I liked Adrian. But when I was with him, I wasn't that happy. After you wanted to divorce me that night, I felt strange and very uncomfortable. Ryan, it's strange. I clearly don't remember liking you. So why do I still feel so hurt? She grabbed my arm. Ryan, can we not divorce and start over? A sense of bitterness stirred in my heart. Finally, I took out a red envelope from my bag and placed it in her hand. Lily, Happy New Year. We can't go back. Not all mistakes can be undone, and I can't always act with such unyielding determination. After the new year, I found myself with more free time. After that night, Lily often messaged me. Sometimes she would come to the studio to find me. Other times she would make up reasons to ask me to come over. This continued until last week. This week, Lily suddenly stopped messaging me so frequently. I only received one message from her. She asked me to meet her at a cafe this week. When I arrived, Lily was wearing a dark coat, a scarf, with her hair flowing over her shoulders. She smiled when she saw me. Ryan, you've come. It was then that I realized something was wrong. I hesitated and asked, You've regained your memory? Lily silently nodded. After learning that Lily had regained her memory, we both fell silent. She looked at me and said, I'm sorry for what happened after I lost my memory. I sighed, feeling a whirlwind of emotions in my mind. What if Lily's memory had returned sooner? Or if I had held on just a little longer? But there are no what-ifs. That was the limit of what I could endure. Lily remained silent for a moment before speaking again. The reason Adrian came back to the country was because he lost money while helping someone start a business abroad. He only found out about my situation and rushed back to ask me for money. Hearing this, I sighed in relief. Since Lily had figured it out, she shouldn't be with him anymore. Given Lily's personality, she probably wouldn't let Adrian get off easily either. After discussing what needed to be discussed, the topic of divorce inevitably came up. Looking at the person I had loved for nearly 10 years, I only felt a deep sense of regret and bitterness. I'm sorry about the divorce. Are you still determined to go through with it? I nodded. After signing the agreement, we agreed to go to the courthouse next Monday to finalize the divorce. But just before I left, Lily softly said, I didn't know it was you who helped chase off the thugs and gave me candies for a whole semester. I always thought it was Adrian. Her voice trembled. Ryan, I'm sorry. It seemed like no one was at fault. It was just that I had bad luck and kept missing out. Only after reading the love letter did I find out that it was Adrian who had discarded it back then. After I learned that, I remained silent for a long time, saying nothing. Before going to bed that night, I just thought to myself, my luck back then was truly terrible. After completing the paperwork, I followed through with my plan and closed the studio, no longer accepting photography collaborations. I began planning my travel itinerary for the year. It was only from Owen that I received news about Adrian. I heard that recently, creditors had come after him, and he had no money to repay them. Desperate, he had to borrow money from his old classmates, one by one. Everyone knew what kind of person he was, so naturally, no one was willing to lend him money. His reputation was completely ruined. He used to care most about his reputation, but now it was utterly destroyed. Owen told me, someone like him who takes advantage of others' misfortunes is finally getting what he deserves. I smiled, hung up the phone, and continued working on my travel plans. I traveled for an entire year. I saw many sights that I had never had the chance to see before. Over the course of that year, I still thought about Lily, sometimes feeling wistful and regretful about our relationship. I couldn't blame her, but it seemed I couldn't forgive her either, so I decided to leave it to time. We could be strangers, we could be classmates, we could be friends, or even enemies. But it seemed we could no longer be lovers. Perhaps one day, when I've moved on, Lily and I will sit down together, chat, drink, and talk about the funny things from our past. We might even talk about the foolish things I did during the years I loved her. Or we could talk about the year I slowly let go of her.